And good morning. We're live on the Falcons Podcast on YouTube and X. Let's bring in one of these Facebook pages, even though they won't verify me as my identity and haven't paid me in a year. But that's still Atlanta Falcons on SI. We'll get those going, and then we will get going. And here we go. Maybe. Now, there we go. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast. It is Wednesday morning. It is still a brisk fall morning. Fall is officially here in the South, which means the weather is absolutely gorgeous. Nick, it's one of those times where it starts in the high 40s and finishes usually around mid-70s. And it's just perfect weather here. So let's play a game inside. No, I'm just teasing. The Miami Dolphins are coming up this weekend, and they are on the ropes. It's up to the Falcons to keep them there. Lots of stuff to get into today. I want to talk future schedule, follow up on some of the stuff we talked about Monday. ESPN listed the top 24 best possible trade targets. There are 2 Falcons on it. There are 3 Falcons players, 3 players connected to the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll get into that a little bit. But first, Nick, how you doing, my friend? You settle in over there?
Slowly but surely. It's kind of hard to do. I've been on the job hunt and applying, and that's been a lot of time. My parents are here. They always come out for the Broncos meet and greet. And daycare right now goes from 8 to 3. So like that less 2 hours makes a difference, especially because my wife is working hybrid, but a lot from home right now. So as you can see, it's still a construction zone behind me. But I think that's hopefully something we will get to this weekend.
That's what every room in my house looks like, and I'm in my 10th year. So
okay, well, I need a green screen or something. That's the plan eventually. But I'll be in the guest room. But for now, this is the setup. And we're doing well. I'm not quite used to the violent change in temperature that we have out here in Colorado.
We got 30 degrees here today is what the difference will be. Yep.
Yeah, because in Seattle, everything would be like trapped because of the marine layer. So like your range throughout the day was maybe 15 degrees. I'm getting 50-degree swings out here right now. It's crazy. But we're doing okay. Can't complain too much. Still riding the high from being at that crazy Bronco game, and still a little bit low from the Mariners getting kicked out. That was a bummer. And also the Falcons disappointing me on Sunday night.
Yeah, for sure. But again, we hit on that one on Monday. We're going to move forward. Now, also, there's some news that came out, too. Ray McCloud was cut. That shouldn't be too big of a shock to anybody that's been watching the show. Just read the tea leaves. I like to say, watch what they do, not what they say. When you're talking about coaches, general managers and stuff, because coaches lie so much, they don't call it lying. They call it coach speak. So you can't really do what they say. Oh, yeah, things are working well. They're close back. Yeah. No, he's inactive. He's inactive again. He's a healthy scratch. He gone. There's something going on. And to be fair, in this case, Raheem Morris was pretty curt about his discussions about Ray McCloud. So he was giving us a little more hints than the usual coach speak. But we've got some folks that want to come in here and speak. And I want to say hello to those. Rusty was the first one in today. Rusty says, pretty sure I'm going to put a big amount of money on us this weekend to win, because we absolutely should. But if we somehow lose to Miami, can we all agree it's time to fire everyone? Well, I want to say, going back to who's the last coach that got fired, Arthur Smith. It was heading into the bye week, coming out of the Arizona game where they got beat by Kyle. It was the 3rd straight loss to a brand new quarterback. Kyler Murray was making his first appearance of the season, and they had just lost 3 straight after coming out of the gate pretty well. And going into the bye week, that was when, if you scroll back through our archives, we went nuclear on that one. I'm like, okay, it's time. Just leave his ass in Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever the hell they play. And I said, we're done. It's time. I will feel that way if they lose to the Miami Dolphins. I will feel that way. But there will be time. It won't happen. It won't happen right away. So there would be time to turn the ship around. So I would be fully on board with end of the season, they're cleaning house. But there would still be time to change our minds if things were to come together for the team, Rusty. But yeah, I would be on board with it's time to clean house if they end up losing this game to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the overall direction of the team feels positive still, especially with what we're seeing on the defensive side. That Morris would, I mean, it obviously depends on how it looks and how the rest of the season goes, but with Ulbrich and Morris, maybe it's more of we need a different offensive coordinator in here, because what's going on with Penix isn't exactly the direction we want, especially with the Lamborghini and insert, crazy car that we have with two of them with Pitts, London, and Bijan, and the offensive line. But it would take more than the Miami game. I say it all the time on this show, but anything can happen any given week. I think back to 2012 when 12-0 Green Bay Packers went in and played the 1-11 Chiefs and got curb stomped. Chiefs ended up picking number 1 that year. I think the Packers maybe won the champ. They were unbelievable for that season. So one game, would it be a kick in the you-know-what for the aspirations and the direction of the team and a lot of catharsis after the game? Yes. Would it put everybody on watch a bit? Yes. But as you said,
Nick, it's just
rest of the season.
The bigger notion is what it says, where the direction of the team is going. And if they're 3-4 after losing to Miami, then they're going to be 5-12. Of course, if they turn it around and go 12-5, then everything will be fine. It's just the odds of that happening if you drop this game to the Miami Dolphins go down to, not so good. And it's funny, Austin comes in. He kind of disagrees with you, but that's the difference between being, emotionally involved and from the outside looking in. He says, "Morning, Phil. It seems like the team is going in the wrong direction. The decisions that Coach Raheem Morris seems to be making over and over ain't good. He's sad to see Ray gone. If we lose to Miami, I'll crash." And that's part of it, Nick. When the team loses faith in what's going on, that's when it can spiral out of control. And I feel like that would be one of these moments. If they were to lose, it's like then players start playing for themselves a little bit. The nicked up players are less likely to get back into the game. You know what? My shoulder's bothering me a little bit. Let's sit this one out. And it would just be, they've got to win this game. I was looking at some of the spreads, and I was like, I expect this one to be one of the biggest spreads in the NFL this week. So I'm going down the games, and I'm like, okay, so far it is 7.5. Those are the top. It's a 7.5 spread right now. And then I get down to the bottom, and it's Titans-Colts. The Colts are 14.5 point home favorites over the Titans. And the second biggest one is the Chiefs is now a 10.5 point favorite over the Commanders. So at 7.5, the Falcons are tied for the third biggest spread in the NFL against the Dolphins. And yeah, they should win this game. And I'm going to be doing a guest podcast with Alan Poupart of the On SI Miami Dolphins page here at 10:30. I'll see if I can get a copy of that and load it up to our channels too, because I don't think we're going live. So we'll preview that game a little more in depth for him. I'll ask him a bunch of Miami Dolphins questions too. But hell, he was out on Tua 2 years ago, so I know where his head's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's circling the drain. I think despite not or having a better record than the 0-7 Jets have much more life than that team. So we'll see how it goes. But this is a game, the Falcons would have to actively try to lose. If they are, they're still professionals on the other side, but if you protect the ball, do the little things, run it 60% of the time. The offensive line for the Dolphins isn't good, despite having, I think, 3 first-rounders on their defensive line. They're not very good. They're soft with a capital S. They're infighting right now. There's not belief. Mike McDaniel, obviously he was the talk of the town when he first came in because of how fun and high-flying. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the bells and whistles are only as good as if you can do the basics up front. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I would expect the Falcons to establish the run and the defensive line and pass rush to look like they had again, because Tua he gets rid of the ball quickly, but sometimes that's to the detriment of the overall offense.
Yeah, I want to say hello to Dantes Jackson as well, who always comes in. He's here early in the morning, and he has also joined us as a new member. So welcome. And then after we went off the air, we got another new member at S.Mail who's in here a lot too. So thank you guys. Thanks for joining the nest or the perch and becoming new members, and also showing us a little support. One of our Denver Broncos fans, Denver Luke, is here. He says, "Morning, Nick and Scott," and he's got the coffee emojis. I'll drink to that here momentarily. And let's see. Calder is here. Good morning. Ray got the Jimmy Lake treatment just like Justin Simmons did. Ray kind of did this one a little bit more to himself. It wasn't just he wasn't playing well. I think there was some behavioral stuff involved in this one as well, missing some meetings or whatnot, or some of the things that have been making the rounds. And it's just not productive is coming out of it. And we talked about, there are a couple things we talked about coming into the season. Not everybody can have a career year. It just doesn't work that way. Who's going to fall off? My number one candidate was Ray McLeod. If Kyle Pitts is going to have a big season, it's going to come at the expense of the slot receiver. That was Ray. It has. Kyle Pitts is having a big season. I was not expecting Darnell Mooney to fall off a cliff also. But he got in. He got 54 snaps, played a lot. Hopefully he works his way back in and can become that weapon that he was last season. It's not going to happen for Ray McLeod. I think we've seen the rotation. David Sills actually got more snaps than Casey Washington. So the Falcons still definitely could use some more help at wide receiver, whether that's on the phone with Tyler Lockett, who was productive with the Seahawks last year before, the Titans they're terrible. I do think as of right now, I think they're one of the 3 worst overall franchises in the NFL. And I don't blame him for saying, hey, I want out of here. Doesn't mean he's done. He is a little older, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's done, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, he's useful. I would be curious where he wants to go. There'll be opportunity, obviously, in Atlanta, but maybe there's a team that has a little bit more upside currently than what the Falcons have. So, and there was him floating out there for the trade market as well. So I do think there's some interest. Out there.
He won't be out of work long. He'll have his pick. And are the Falcons a team right now that can convince a free agent without money, overpaying? Because that's not how they're going to get him. Can they convince him that, hey, this is where you want to be? Maybe. There's certainly an opportunity to come in and be a contributor right away with a rocket arm young quarterback and an exciting offense that has all kinds. Hey, you're the missing piece. I know how I'd sell that. I could sell him. I could sell him pretty easy. But there's going to be other professional sales pitches going on too. So I think that would be tough. Want to get down and say hello to some more folks. Stephen B, he's feeling like me today. Nick said, hey, when we hopped on the show, he's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I feel salty today. I think I said pissy. I said, so little caffeinated bliss and some football talk, I'll start feeling a little better. But he's starting to not feel it on Penix. I heard the same narratives about Ritter and the other quarterback. He's just young. This is just his rookie year, even though it's not. Everyone else's fault. The offense needs to score more points just beyond Bijan. Yeah, and I put it in writing yesterday, Stephen. The way to defend this team is really simple. It's not easy to stop Bijan Robinson, but it's really simple. Stop Bijan, stop the Atlanta Falcons. And there's that can't be your only way to play. It's got to be more diversified than that on offense.
Yeah, what are we in? 10 starts into his career at this point? 9 starts for Penix?
3 and then 3 and 3. Yeah, he's had 9. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know it's frustrating because you want to see them hit the ground running, but I think probably given what we've seen with the highlights and the highs, like there is proof of concept. Like for Ritter, it was, he's young, but like he was young and bad constantly and didn't have like tools that you could dream on. Penix has had 2 games this year where he finished top 10 in EPA per play and success rate in both those games. So again, there is to push the football. So I think that he deserves time. This is a team that's very much in transition still as well. I mean, you have to understand you're taking the lumps, and also Ritter. Let's just be real. The reality of what was a Penix 8th overall versus Ritter being a 3rd rounder. Penix is going to get a much longer runway, as he should. So again, you bank on the tools, and does this? I also hate I'm with you on the frustration of like, he just deserves time, then guarantee linear growth. We don't know that. I mean, this could be who he is, and he might be struggling when he's moved off his spot and scattershot accuracy. But with where the team is at currently, with the upside and the talent and the the buy-in there seems to be in the locker room and the organization as well. You need to ride this thing out, and there's going to be highs and lows. But that's what this season and probably the first half of next season is. Now expectations change as we gather more data, and we'll see how the back 2/3 go. But he deserves time, and the talent is different than Ritter. I know that there's you can tell when somebody's selling a dead fish right out there. It's like, yeah, this stinks. We're not doing this. I don't think that's the case with Penix, but he does need to be more consistent and better, and he has things to work on. That's fine.
The narrative around Ritter was so much different, Nick. It was always all he needs to do is just not lose the game, because you didn't expect him to go out there and win it. Michael Penix has the left arm that can go out and win games, and we have seen that in his young career already. And I think you may have frozen up on me, Nick. It was freezing up, so I'm going to pop you out of here. I'm going to take me out of this just a little bit, and once I see you, shake your head for me when you're down there, and I'll see you go. Okay, froze up on me just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it is, and I agree when people say, "Oh, they just need more time and they'll be better." Well, theoretically, this quarterback struggled, and look at them now. They all struggle when they're early, but 95% of them don't get to year 3 and 4. They just there's out there. I think Penix absolutely has the tools. I think he needs more help from his coaching staff as far as putting him in positions to succeed. Move him around a little bit. And again, they're predictable on offense. They just are. Casey Washington, I said, I don't want to see him. I get on Casey Washington for two third down throws. One was he caught low that was really close, and one was dropped. It was really close. Hell, he only played 11 snaps, and he's still getting all of these targets at, in crucial moments. I'm like, I don't want to see that. John Harrell, thank you for being a member. He says, good morning. What happens if we struggle against Miami at home? I can do the press conference for you. We'll go back to work. That's what we do. We'll self-scout and we'll look to get better. We've got to blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. That's just what coaches say after games like this. But why do they struggle? Is it because of the predictability in play calling? Did the defense, which seems to be playing over its head, finally, spring a leak? Those type of things. And why? Is it, are they missing throws? Are they dropping balls? Is it penalties? Or is it, again, hey, we're going to come out and just try and establish the pass to set up the run? I don't like that with this team. And we've seen that now twice in losses where they scored 10 points and they've been shut out. Where Bijan and Tyler had 9 carries this time in the first half. Tyler had 1 carry. I think the number right now is 60%. If Charlie Warner plays 60% or more of the snaps, they're 3-0. If he plays under 60% of the snaps, he's 0-3. And that goes to establish the run and work off of that. So we'll see. But nothing will happen as far as, are they going to fire somebody midseason? No, they're not. They're not. They'll get the chance to finish the season, and we'll move on from there. Curtis Case, good to see you. Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say we already had the wide receivers coach moved out. That's the one that I was like, oh, maybe. Wait a second. That already happened. Yeah. Curtis Case, good to see you. Says, morning, Scott and Nick, Falcons Nation. Every member, it's still Penix's rookie year. Yeah, and once you're 25 starts in, I feel like the clock really is ticking at that point. You have to be god freaking awful to not get the runway. And right now, again, not even 10 starts. So again, has it been volatile? Yes, but there actually is highs. So there is something to hope on, and you see the raw tools as well. So the arm talent, he's got one of the top 5 best pure arms, velocity wise. There's difference between the elasticity, a shortstop, but a power, set and deliver arm, probably one of the top 5 strongest. And there's plenty to hope on still. So he deserves time. And I know it's frustrating. I saw a comment too, Stroud got worse since his rookie year. It's a rare occurrence. It could happen. Growth is not linear at all, but you're going to ride this out. And I think you just got to buckle up. If he's this volatile and you have the lows that you have a year from now, December 2026, we're having conversations about the coaching staff and the quarterback. But damn.
Yeah, you paused out on me just a little bit. I just I'm not ready. We're not giving up on Penix. We're not talking about that. But are there some concerns? Yeah, we talked about some of the concerns last week. One of the comments I got was, oh well, yeah, he can throw under pressure, but not when it's coming from the blind side. Well, if it was all coming from the blind side, there probably would have been more sacks. We didn't see him getting crushed from the blind side the entire time and not seeing it coming, or else there would have been more sacks and stuff. We saw a lot of incompletions and inaccurate throws or throws into coverage. We saw a lot of poor throws when he was being pressured. That's got to get fixed. I believe it will. I believe he'll definitely get better on that, but he definitely needs help in his play calling. Move the pocket around. We've got to stretch the back end of the defense a little bit. You can't just throw everything 15 yards and under on that. So Nick bounced on me. So I'm going to get to Curtis. He says, morning, Scott, Nick, Falcons Nation. That's all, y'all. Everyone remember, we did get to Curtis again. We just had that whole conversation. So want to get back into the chat just a little bit. And Calder says, how many scapegoats have to fall before they address the offensive coordinator? And Mad Scientist says, I think we should move Walker into Diablo's spot until he's healthy. Maybe. Mad Scientist, that's not a bad shout, but he hasn't really trained at all at inside linebacker in this defense. Their whole idea was we want him to be good at one thing before we try and get him to do more. Now, I might be more interested in just going how would we call that? A 3-3-5? How you'd set up the different in a 3-3-5 with just one inside linebacker and have it be Caden Ellis. Have two edges at all the times, because the way they've done it here recently is their 3-3-5 has been two inside backers with one stand-up edge, so a four-man front. I'd almost rather see the five-man front, so almost like a 5-1-5, but technically you'd call that a 3-3 with just one inside linebacker and a nickel. The nickel base is absolutely there. They almost always have five defensive backs on the field. So rather than Bertrand be out there, I'd rather see more of Walker, Leonard Floyd, Arnold Ebiketie, and James Pierce at outside, and have them drop into space to cover the flat zones every so often and rush four that way. You don't know who it's going to come from, but more of an outside linebacker, or true outside linebackers where they're dropping into coverage more. James Pierce can do that. We saw him have awesome recognition on a screenplay in the I think it was in the second quarter against Christian McCaffrey. Shove and drop, and he wiped out the screenplay. So I'd rather see that. What I don't want to see is a lot of J.D. Bertrand in space. D'Angelo Malone has cross-trained at inside linebacker a lot, and Josh Woods was decent in the preseason too. So those are all options too. Coming in on the with a super chat, want to say hello to AJ's Pokemon cards. Love your picture there. He says, thoughts on moving Walker to inside linebacker until Diablo is back. Well, there you go. That was it. So I just went through that. Just as a heads up, as this is the old guy in me, get off my lawn. I absolutely refuse to use the term off ball. I refuse. It's inside linebacker. It's been inside linebacker for 150 years. Every single time they talk about an off ball linebacker, they're talking about a guy inside. So, and linebacker by definition is back of the line. So off ball, it's like saying off ball running back. It's just one of those things. I told you I was salty this morning, AJ. So I just got into this. I think it's a great question and it's a great suggestion. I just don't think we are there yet. So my other options would be, again, I'd rather see him tweak the formation a little bit and go 3-3-5 with two outsides and then Caden inside. And then you can drop those guys back into coverage like outside linebackers like you have in the past. So I would rather see them do that than try and stuff. Another part of this, Jalen Walker hasn't been healthy a lot. And then to put him in an inside role where it's much, much more physical, I'm not ready. I don't want to do that with Jalen Walker. So I'd rather see D'Angelo go in there. I'd rather give Josh Woods a try. And again, I'd rather tweak the formation a little bit because you've still got more edge rushers. You're still fairly solid on the edge. I'd rather see them take advantage of their front a little bit more in that way. So it's a great question. It's a great question, but I don't think Jalen Walker is ready for it mentally. He hasn't been practicing that, and I don't know that he's ready for it physically because he's been beat up just a little bit on that one for sure. Let's let's move on just a little bit. Nick is back. So, Nick, we've been talking about Jalen Walker. I don't know, since you were restarting, you probably didn't hear what I had to say. So I want to get your take. What about Jalen Walker possibly inside right now?
I think that's something you could do in terms of some slight packages throughout the game, a 3rd and long, maybe some first downs where you want to have a mug look with your linebacker. But it's such a different game playing the edge versus the linebacker spot. And I think Walker has been really developing nicely at that edge spot as kind of a hybrid coverage / blitzing chess piece up front. So again, there'll be some A gap, B gap lineups, but as far as like actually playing the second level and the responsibilities required for a linebacker, I think it's something that's kind of, fun to think about in Madden. But I wouldn't really ask that for a player as young as him. He's one of the younger players in the NFL, I believe, this year. He wasn't really asked to even do that at Georgia, so to speak. So I don't know if I would mess with it too much. I honestly think while he's obviously athletically more gifted than Bertrand, you might be having some coverage, run fill busts because it's something that he just hasn't really done on tape that much. Can you tweak the defense and make it more blitz, even more blitz oriented to the linebacker spot? Maybe. I think you're probably doing that at the cost of sending Ellis less and him being a little bit more of a safety backer in that case, which I don't know if I want to do that. So I think right now you're probably, sink or swim with Bertrand, maybe a little bit more physical with rolling a safety down, hoping Bowman helps with that as well. But I don't know if I would be moving Walker to off ball other than some packages, which I would be doing anyway.
Nick's 20 years younger than me, so he's not afraid. I gave him my diatribe on off ball.
Oh,
I said it's.
okay.
I said the off ball comes from the Department of Redundancy department. Linebacker, especially when it's always used for inside middle guys, is like they're back of the line linebackers by definition. What's the other one? Draft capital.
All caps edge.
The all caps edge. Those are my 3 probably big ones right now. The all caps edge bugs me as much as I think off ball is probably number 1 for me. Edge next, okay. And then draft capital. Because I see where you want to package picks together to say that this equals something that equals capital, but still draft picks. Anyway.
Also, you don't really like a simulated pressure. It's a fake blitz.
Yeah, it sounds that all the renaming the stuff, it just sounds so pretentious to me is the problem. It's like, oh, we all have these podcasts. We want to sound smarter than we are by changing the names of things. And it's just,
they're taking it from coaches. Like these coaches are using
to me, it's phony. It's pretentious. And I do not like pretend. I'm a blue collar guy at heart. Chris Walker in his blue shirt. He says, "Good morning, Scott and Nick, along with everyone watching. I don't want to fire Albrecht, but just about everyone else is fair game." Yeah, I think the defensive side of the ball has got to feel pretty good about where they are, and that's not just Albrecht. That's everybody on the defensive side of the ball. I've mentioned before, I'm a little surprised that special teams coach Marquise Williams was able to. That he kept the job when Raheem Morris came in, and then last year when they were so bad that he was still there, and they're still bad on special teams. And they put a lot of personnel. Like, oh, we have to have this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Oh, yeah, and that guy for special teams. Well, that's a lot of players that you've got dedicated to just special teams who aren't helping you on offense or defense, and your special teams are dreadful. That's It's not necessarily a good thing. Deontay Wade, thanks for being a member. Good morning. It's official for me. The Falcons are a good team. I don't care if it's players, play calling, or coaching. This team is broken. I expect to lose to Miami. We played down to teams. It's at home. I think that's a big one, Deontay. The Falcons have been good at home. Michael Penix has a 40-point difference in his home and road splits right now in 3 games each. It's 103 versus like 63 in his passer rating. And he's played good teams at home. He's played the Buccaneers, the Bills, and the Commanders at home. So it's not just a scheduling thing. They're going to take care of business this week. And we're going to feel good about things on Monday, and then we'll see how things go the next week against the Patriots. More on that in a second, Nick.
I just wanted to give a shout out to defensive line coach Nate Ollie. He's been awesome as well. I think we're going to give a shout out to Carrie. She brought him up in a preseason podcast, and I'm like, okay, we'll check it out. And yeah, he's been doing pretty good. But the coaching staff right now, I mean, pass game coordinators, offensive staff is probably on thin ice, but we have the rest of the season to see how that goes. I mean, it's somewhat to be expected with the injuries at offensive tackle, the lack of depth in known quantities at wide receiver, and the youth at quarterback, who is already kind of a, again, high-low kind of player. So got to figure it out and got to put him in better positions. Some of the play calling stuff, I'm with you. I mean, again, run the damn ball. We were with Arthur Smith in that front, but yeah, that's.
Nick, you froze up on me again. You're back now. The voice was okay, so if you see it freezing up on your side, just keep talking. Don't let that distract you. But Zach has a question. Zach Hubbard, thank you for the super. He comes in with a question that's been on a lot of people's minds. He says, why does Raheem choose to receive the ball first every game? It makes no sense. Why not have the advantage of getting the ball at halftime? This doesn't bother me as much as it does a lot of people, and you saw it play out in the game against who'd they just play?
49ers.
I got Vikings, Commanders,
49ers.
Bills, and then 49ers. Thank you. It's the new memories that are hard to implant for us old guys. The 49ers, they start with the ball. And this was the first time they punted like on their first drive so far this season. They've put points on the board, or at least driven down and had an attempt at points and missed a field goal, Carolina Panthers. But then they get the ball with 90 seconds left with the ball. They work the clock, they make a stop, they get the ball with 90 seconds left. That's one more possession in the first half. You're +1 in possessions in the first half by taking the ball first. Now, it can be a little scary because if you mess up, the 49ers just put points on the board and then you fumble, and going from a lead, you've got a chance to go down 17 in 3 possessions because they fumbled the ball. But you don't coach assuming you're going to make mistakes. That's coaching to lose. That's coaching to, we're coaching not to lose. Well, that's how you lose games. So it's actually being a little more aggressive, taking the ball first. And mathematically speaking, you end up you've got just as good a chance. It's like, you want to go back to back with your possessions, but I can get an extra possession in the first half. So it's not as big a thing for me. I think it's aggressive, and I don't necessarily mind that. Of all the things that we see, that one doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some people, Nick.
Yeah, I'm curious as well, because I mean, I've been noticing from coming back, everything comes back to Iowa, Scott, but even Kirk Ferentz at Iowa with the offense is better now. But you think defensive first team, they've received every time they've won the kickoff this season. So I wonder if there's
the Falcons win the toss every week. I don't know how this happens.
I do wonder if there's a study out there where you have a higher probability of gaining an extra possession and controlling, that aspect of the game if you get it first. Unless you have like a terrible offense and, really, really good defense, maybe there's a study or some sort of analytics out there that say if you receive first, you're more likely to get an extra possession in that first half and then play even football possession by possession in the second half. So I'm not exact, especially because depending on game flow, some of those possessions in the fourth quarter aren't as neutral as well. So I would be curious. I'm sure there is something out there driving that decision, and maybe that's something I haven't heard, but maybe somebody in the press box can ask Raheem Morris the logic there, and if there's any data that's driving those decisions.
Some back and forth discussions on this. Like Harry says, the defense is good enough to hold them on their first possession and get the ball back and effectively give us first possession. Yeah, and field position too. If I can play decent, and part of it might be I don't trust my kick coverage. It could come in as special teams. If I can pin them in the 20, go 3 and out, I get the ball on the 35 to 40 yard line on a 3 and out. I got all kinds of momentum. I flub my kick and they return it to the 40. They're one play from field goal position because most teams, once they hit the 43 yard line on the other side of the field, are in field goal position. So I see both sides of it. I can make an argument for both. And like I said, I'm not, and Ron says we want to play with a lead. That's why. And okay, again, I can see both sides of this. I think it's more aggressive, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them being more aggressive on offense on this. And again, you can come out +1 in the first half on possessions. Some Ray questions in here. Michael says, "What's going on with Ray?" Well, Ray's gone. That's what's going on, and there seem to be some personality conflicts in there as well. Nick, I teased at the top. I want to talk a little bit about ESPN did a top 24 players as far as tradable players, and it had the Falcons really going after a cornerback. There were 3 cornerbacks in that top 24 that best fit. Falcons were one of 2 or one of 3 players in there. Tyreek Woolen was one of them. He was the number 4 overall. Falcons were linked there. Michael Carter, he was a player that the Falcons were linked with heavily in the offseason with his ties to Albrechts. He was at number 12. And then Roger McCreary, the other corner, he was at number 14. And the Falcons were linked with all of those players. And let's see, the odds of those getting – I always err on the side of a deal doesn't happen because they get talked a lot more than they actually happen. But McCreary, 35% chance of being traded is what they're saying. Michael Carter is up to 45% chance of being traded, which makes sense considering they're 0-7. And then Tyreek Woolen, I would think that would be a little bit harder of a trade, but there's something going on there. He doesn't fit what Mike McDonald wants to do. And it says 50% chance of him getting traded, Nick. So wide receiver, you're not finding a starting level offensive tackle on the trade market more than likely.
No.
But you can get a corner and you can get a wide receiver.
You might be able to get a swing tackle, but you already made that move earlier, and we saw Matthews back out there. So, and Storm Norton should be back. So consider that your trade coming down here. Wide receiver is the one that makes the most sense for this team coming in. Now, granted, we always talk about it, Scott. It's this weird thing where I guess it's kind of similar to pass rush, but like you talk about drafting a wide receiver early, it's like, well, there's so many that come out in the draft every year. They're always available. But you look at the trade deadline every year, and every team that's a contender is looking at wide receiver as well. So I just, teams are paying them also. So, I mean, draft them. They're valuable. As far as Stephen B says, the Raiders wide receiver, is he talking about Jacoby Myers?
Jacoby Myers, he was 5 on this list.
Everybody's pretty much talking about that as a foregone conclusion that he's going to go to the Patriots. He's been a Josh McDaniels person with Patriots and then to the Raiders, and sounds like obviously they could use another wide receiver as well, and they have capital to go make a run right now. Like that Patriots team, the AFC is wide open right now, Scott. So we'll see. I don't think Myers is going to be traded anywhere but the Patriots.
Wow.
But wide receiver makes the most sense.
8, 9, 10. The Patriots have 10 draft picks. So that makes a difference. But it's Jacoby Myers, and they put the Dolphins on there for some reason as far as one of the team fits, but the Steelers were on there as well. But Jacoby Myers will likely be moved. I'm interested in, like I said, get on the phone call with Tyler Lockett. What can happen? These guys are going to have options. Are you on there? Let me see. Jim, a lot of questions we have. Dylan Drummond, Nick Nash, Chris Blair. Hey, guys, I can't stay but want to drop in and say, hey, I'm not sure why I don't bring up Blair from the squad. He's a baller. There's a spot now because I would think the Falcons hadn't updated their roster because it still had TQ listed on injured reserve with a designation to return, and he got activated. But it had David Sills on the practice squad. I'm pretty sure he's on the 53. So there seems to be a spot open for a practice squad elevation type of guy, but we've seen what it's going to be like without Ray because he hasn't played in the last 2 games. He's been inactive. And they haven't brought those guys up, and, maybe it's time. Chris Blair, Dylan Drummond, Nick Nash, those guys, it's like, okay, I like the special teams play, but David Sills isn't offering much as a receiver. Those guys are pretty good wide receivers as far as number 4 type of options. So we will see on those. The Atlanta Falcons, the number 1 player they had as far as tradable players is not who you might think it is from the Atlanta Falcons. So who would we think would be the top available trade bait for the Atlanta Falcons, Nick?
Kirk Cousins would be the one
Kirk
that would be the
Cousins would
most
be
obvious.
the obvious one, right? He is on the list. He's number 2. But who is number 1? Who's the number 1 on there? And it probably isn't even your next choice, because my next choice probably would have been Tyler Algier. It's not Tyler either.
I would probably go Ebiketie.
It's Arnold Ebiketie.
Because
Arnold
just the rotation
Arnold
right
Ebiketie checks in at number 16 on the list as tradable players, Nick. And that it does make a lot of sense that you would, if you were shopping, he's expendable at this point.
And you're probably talking about a 6th or 7th round pick. I mean, let's be honest, last year of contract, I believe. And there have been much better edges traded for equal or less than that at the deadline than what we've seen from Ebiketie. But right now, he does seem like on the outside looking in. That's one of those ones that I probably hold on to until like the day of the trade deadline, Scott, because you're one injury away from, I'll knock on wood, but you're one injury away from him having a much larger role. And you know, if somebody offers you a 5th, you probably take it just to get a little bit more capital, reset a rookie contract as well. But I do believe he is in a final year of his contract.
He is. Yep. He's a free agent at the end of the year. So you're talking about a reserve at this point. His numbers, his snap count was down. Let me see what it was, Nick. But he doesn't have a sack this year, which, you know, that makes a difference too. He's been marginalized to a certain extent. He's got 6 sacks in each of the last 2 years, but they've come in bunches. It's like, oh, he had 5 sacks in the final 4 games. He's really ready for his breakout year. We've heard that for 2 years in a row. And then let me see, snap counts. Falcons for Ebiketie. I got to keep scrolling. He was down to 25 snaps. He was behind Floyd, Pierce, and then Jalen Walker didn't play. So he was 3rd in that group of starters, but he's definitely behind those 3. But Jalen Walker's out. So right now he's 3rd. And like Nick says, hey, you might want to hold on to this guy, and you might, depending on what's offered. But talking about, you know, trying to make trade deals, well, it's really hard when you don't have any picks. You know, talking about lots of capital. The New England Patriots have 10 draft picks going into next year. The Falcons have 5. They've got a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, a 6th, and a 7th. So they've got 2 day 2 picks. And then, you know, 4th, 6th, 7th. So they're up against it when it comes to what they can give up right now. Nick, if I'm doing anything, I probably want to pick swap. I want something back if I'm going to try and acquire one of these cornerbacks or a wide receiver. I might be willing to give up an extra round, not a 6th for a 7th. Here, take my 4th, give me back a 6th, and give me this player. But I'd want to swap in there, I think.
We've seen that a lot more too. There's like a baseline number of picks that teams want every year. So there's been a lot more pick swaps occurring. Tankathon, which, you know, I haven't had to look at very much this year. You guys as well, Falcons, which is great. Well, you wouldn't anyway because the lack of the first. But they do a draft power rankings every year where they like allocate the point value and tabulate it for each team. And the Falcons have the 2nd lowest point value in terms of overall draft capital. Sorry, Scott.
No, see, that makes I can live with that one a little bit better than value of draft pick is draft capital.
Yeah. Yep. The overall value of your picks is the 2nd lowest in the NFL this upcoming season, only ahead of the Packers who made the Micah Parsons trade. So if the Falcons, let's say, Scott, that you guys are sitting here at 6-1 and looking like you were like, oh my gosh, we're making a run. Maybe you do take out of this pot or the 2027 draft pot as well to capitalize on this season. But right now, Falcons are a team that could go either way. You look like a feisty borderline playoff team. And I don't know if that's worth taking away from how small your pot already is to add to the team. I think probably for the most part, your trades have already come. They happened in the draft last season, and the guys that are here, other than, you know, some practice squad stuff, you know, maybe some waiver wire, etc. The guys that are here are the guys that are going to be here. But we'll see. We still have a little bit of time before the trade deadline. But I don't know. I would be hesitant to move. This wasn't a chips on the table, all in year for this team. We're in evaluation and trying to see if Penix is the guy and if we can improve the defense. So again, I'm a little bit more conservative, big picture on that front, Scott. Not pushing it in every year. Easy for me to say. My butt can continue to sit on the seat where the guys making the decisions have to win. But I don't know. I just don't think you're in a position with where the team is at or where your number of picks is at to be an aggressive buyer at the deadline.
Well, I want to hit Stephen B's question here or comment here. Do you remember the number we said that we were kind of hoping to get from Kyle Pitts this year for yards and touchdowns?
I think we were hoping for like 5 touchdowns and 700 yards.
I think I said 8 and 8 is what I said. I said, what would be a good year? A good year would be at least 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Getting in the end zone. Well, nobody's getting in the end zone. Okay.
No.
But he is on pace for 807 yards right now. It seems like he's had a bigger impact, but he only has 285 yards right now. So he has replaced Ray McCloud's production. Darnell Mooney's production has not been replaced. That's still a hole that's going to Bijan right now, where Bijan is doing more things. But Steven says the Falcons should trade Pitts if they don't want to give him a multi-year extension. No way his agent would let him play next year without a big deal. That's fine. I agree with you, but you don't trade him this year before the deadline. You let him finish. You tag him. He has a good season. You tag him, then you have the entire offseason to make a deal. Make a deal before the draft, not a deadline deal unless somebody comes and blows your socks off. But worst case, it looks like right now the Falcons will be 4-4 at the trade deadline and still in it, which is what the NFL wants, which to Nick's point, they should move the trade deadline farther back. 8 games, there's almost every team is going to be within 1 or 2 games of a playoff spot. Doesn't mean they're any good. So if they don't play in a multi-year extension, that's fine, but negotiate from a position of strength. Last year, you couldn't trade him. He was coming off another down season. He's having a pretty good year this year, and his role seems to continue to expand. He still has every chance to be a 1,000-yard receiver by the end of the season. Tag him, and if he doesn't like it, then you can get some value for him in a trade at least, because he'd be coming off close to what would be a Pro Bowl season in the NFC. So this is what we've been advocating for from the beginning. Now, Nick, looking ahead, I just said let's just chalk it on the board. The Falcons should be 4-3. They can't look ahead. We can. Losing this game to the Miami Dolphins should be unfathomable. It's not, we know, but it should be. They should win this freaking game. Then they play New England next. I mentioned strength of schedule last year. Who have they played? Blah, blah, blah. So when I was on Tankathon, they do a strength of schedule based on winning percentage because that's how the draft order is sorted. That's the tiebreaker. If you have the same record, and the Falcons were a beneficiary of this a lot, that's how they got the number 8 pick, despite having one of 7 and 10 teams. They'd have the top pick of that bunch. So looking at it, Denver is actually 29th in easiest schedule. So there is 462. Their opponent's winning percentage is 462. Now, some of that's they've won those games. Mm-hmm. Cleveland is 30th at 455. Buffalo drops all the way down to 400. There's a 55-point gap. For you guys who like batting averages, the third guy hits 455 and the next guy hits 400 is 31st. Then I got to get out my binoculars to look all the way down to find New England, whose opponent's winning percentage is 333.
Yeah, insane.
We don't know who New England is yet. They could be really good. We know they're not beating themselves and making mistakes, but we don't know if they're a legit playoff caliber 5-2. This is going to be a really good team, and their schedule is awful. That's what happens with last place teams. It's supposed to be. But we don't know that much about this team yet. Their opponents, their winning percentages, I mean, you're talking like 1% difference between 10 and 20 on this. It'll be like 470 and 480. They're 100 and 25 points off 30th. So we don't know much about New England yet. Falcons could be 5-3 coming out of the next 2 games, without a doubt.
Easily. I mean, Drake May is playing great, and it's one of those things where, again, being college scout first, Scott, you are evaluating the execution and the talent, and you watch Drake May, and it's like, I don't care if he was playing the 85 Bears. Some of the plays that he's making are incredible in the windows that he's throwing in and playing very aggressive football. I mean, this isn't dink and dunk. He is pushing the frickin' football. But as far as like the defense, the offensive line, the weapons, how they're getting open, I mean, the Patriots have had by far easiest schedule so far this season. And it's not just it's not just the win percentage either, Scott. DVOA, which kind of takes into account like how you perform week to week. Because, you know, there's games where you win by 1 or you win by 100, and that looks the same in the standings, but maybe the quality of your play is very different in those games. So DVOA takes into account some of that. And the Patriots are also far and away have had the easiest schedule so far, according to DVOA as well. So unfortunately, I guess for maybe everybody else in the AFC, they have like past schedules so far today, and they have future schedule. Patriots past schedule is ranked 32nd in the league. Their future schedules ranked 32nd.
They play the Browns at home next. It actually, and if they go 2-6, it would be 333. If they beat them, their opponent's winning percentage would be 333. Now, part of that is winning. You know, yes. The more you win, the lower your opponent's winning percentage is going to be. But the Falcons are over 500 for the first time in years as far as their schedule goes. They are, let's see, their opponent's winning percentage is 504. That's the first time in a long time. I have to resort this. If I sort this, I copied it out of Tankathon and put it in a spreadsheet. Atlanta has the 19th hardest or 19th easiest, so I'd have to reverse that. But the easiest schedule, they've got the 19th easiest schedule, so therefore it is harder than most so far. Eric Parker says, we'll beat Miami and lose New England. We can't stay consistent in winning. And if New England ends up being a really good team, you know, there's no shame in losing on the road to San Francisco. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Take care of your home field, and you're a playoff team. But you've got to do that. You got to win a couple games on the road. And Carolina Panthers, let's see how good they end up are. You know, there's a lot of talk about that, and the Panthers fans have gotten chirpy all of a sudden after that game. It's like that the fact that they won that game wasn't the fluke. You know, y'all are calling that game a fluke. Well, the game itself was a fluke, unless you want to spot me 30 points next time Falcons go to Carolina. If you want to do that, then put your money where your mouth is. That the Panthers beat the Falcons isn't a fluke. That the outcome wasn't a fluke. The game itself was fluky. Mm-hmm. So that's got to change. You know, losing it on a nationally televised game on the road against the 49ers, okay. 3-3 after 6, okay. But again, all of a sudden, the Patriots look like a different team, and the Colts look like a different team. Those are two that you were thinking, okay, maybe I can chalk those up as dubs, and things got a little harder down the road.
You play the game, though. One at a time, you got a chance. We've seen crazy things in the NFL, and we've also seen the high highs from this Falcons defense and offense. So, as well as the low, they're one of the more volatile teams in football right now. But, you know, if you're going where you want to go, eventually you're going to have some tough opponents that you're going to have to match up against. So good measuring stick games, and we'll find out about the coaching staff and all of that. But right now you do have a little bit of a softball coming up. Talk about a team 1-2-3 Cabo. They could just say Miami. I guess I can stay down there. But
let's go down to the Keys. We'll just hop in the car.
Yeah, no, nice and easy. But yeah, it is tough. We'll find out a lot about this Falcons team in the next 3-5 game stretch. Obviously, I mean, bigger sample, we'll find out. But right now they're an up and down team. The defense is a lot better than I'd thought. The offense is more erratic than I thought, but I guess that shouldn't be surprising in hindsight, looking at how the roster is built.
There's some talk in here about you know, the edge rushers, and it is, you know, when does some of the you know, Corey says, and it turned into discussion, turning some of the pressures into production, into sacks. You know, James Pierce Jr.'s numbers, we had this discussion last year, like, oh, well, that guy's not doing anything. But we've seen James Pierce affect the game. the numbers might not be there, but we've seen him affect the quarterback, make it. We've seen Jalen Walker get out there. The numbers aren't mind-boggling, but it is one of the hardest positions, and it's one of the reasons we said you can't count on a third-round rookie edge rusher coming off a knee injury, that's now has 2 first-round edge rushers in his room. It's really tough. My thoughts for Braylon Trice is he takes Ebiketti's spot next year. Re-sign Leonard Floyd 1 more year. Keep your veteran in there, and there's your 4-man rotation. That's my thoughts of where he ends up. He wasn't going to be an impact guy this year. He's number 5 at best in that rotation.
I would disagree with the point there, Scott. I think the edge rushers, because it is a lot of times it's not really a thinking position. It's a God-given talent. And maybe the stats aren't there, but you can tell if a guy is it or not, where quarterback, offensive line, tight end, linebacker, defensive tackle, those are more developmental positions compared to edge, which, again, talking stats, but like the eyeball test, guys belong.
Right. That's kind of what I said, Nick. You just agreed to disagree.
I just was disagreeing with Corey's point about
it is. No, Pierce. We're seeing Pierce make an impact.
Yeah.
But, we'd have people argue last year about, you didn't need to take a defensive player in the draft. Look, this guy only has 4 sacks. Yeah, but he's impacting the game for sure. He was impacting
Jared Verse last year.
Pierce and Walker, their numbers look pedestrian at best. They look like busts on paper. Watch the games. They're impacting the game, and the future looks bright. And again, time will come where the numbers will follow what they are doing on the field. The numbers will come, is what I'm trying to spit out in a stupid way.
I mean, I'm just looking at I'm much more of a pressure versus sack. Like, sacks are valuable, but they're not as predictive, where pressures are predictive. And if you are a pressure player, sacks should come. And right now you have Pierce tied for 4th in pressures this season at 12. You have Walker at 8th with 8 pressures, but these guys have substantially less total snaps than the rookies that they're going against right now. Carter has 347. Now he's far and away 27 pressures. He looks like, again, edge rushers, early ones especially, you can tell right away. Carter's a guy. He's a dude. But after that, you got Williams with 14, Ezaraku with 14. Those guys have 100 to 150 more snaps on defense this season than what Pierce does. Now, some of that is by necessity with Dallas, and some of that's the run defense of Mykel Williams having a lot more opportunity because they're not really trusting Pierce in that front currently. But again, like, the per snap pressure rate is high. Those guys, I mean, they're first-round edges, and you can see it in the tape and the stats back it up.
And Corey, you and Nick are circling around the same point here. You really are, as far as talking about impact. Yes, you can see the impact early if you don't necessarily see the numbers. We would like to see the numbers follow the impact. We like what we see from James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker, despite the numbers right now. And
the numbers are it's the thing. The numbers are fine, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, like, most people are going to look at their page and go tackles and sacks. They're not there. Well, I think Pierce has like four tackles and maybe 2 sacks.
Yeah.
His impact on the game has been much greater than that. And the production, the numbers, the back of the baseball card numbers will come, because it is hard for rookies to pile up numbers. It is. The rookie edge rushers. I mean, your defensive player of the year last year had 4. He had 4 sacks. Your rookie in Jared Verse last year, I think he had 4.
But the pressures were crazy.
Who's the kid? Leatu Latu.
Yep.
He made a huge impact for the Colts last year, and his numbers were meh. So it definitely comes up on that. I saw one more thing on here
real quick to Corey. I'm just the semantics. I'm annoying, but I'm following the data, draft trends historically. There's positions that take a lot longer, and you're not drafting them for their rookie year. Edge is kind of in the middle ground there, but like offensive tackles, give them 3 years. I've seen rookie offensive tackles. Andrew Thomas, Scott, he's probably the best left tackle in football right now. Him and Tristan Wirfs. He was dreadful his rookie season. Those big boy positions, even though they're coming from blue blood programs, they take time. Edge, not as much.
Yeah, again, it's the strength versus the quickness stuff. I mean, you can be a 22, 23-year-old man, and there's exceptions, of course. There are always exceptions. The Orlando Paces of the world, those guys are exceptions.
Yeah.
You're going against guys that are 28-year-old men in the trenches that can bench press a house and, squat a semi-truck, even if they're not all that great.
Yep.
And football
the example
players.
On the other hand, Scott, for this Falcons team is Rook this year. I mean, he was on the back of milk cartons last season, and now he's been one of the best pressure-oriented players. Zach Harrison.
Here comes Zach Harrison in his third year.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just again getting into some of the actual like nitty-gritty of the points. But yeah, no offense, Corey, and appreciate your comments.
So on that note, we are going to get out of here. We're at 1 hour, and want to say thank you to several people who've come in, like Curtis, AJ's Pokemon Cars, Denver Luke, Zach Hubbard, Jacob. I think I missed this one, Jacob. Let's fix that one. Let's fix that right now, because Jacob had come in and says, "Good morning, everyone. What do you think of trading for Juwan Jennings? His contract isn't bad, and a late round pick might be enough." Is he now? Didn't he with the 49ers? Is that the same Juwan Jennings, or am I mixing up my Juwans? Because they were just calling him like
that is the 49ers one.
Yeah, they were just calling him Juwan and one. Are you talking about if he gets healthy?
Yeah.
If they get healthy and Ayuk gets healthy and Pearsall gets healthy, maybe he doesn't have a spot, but I think he's an ideal number 3. I don't think they're sellers, Jacob. I think that would be a tough pull.
The issue is that he's a big slot, Scott, and Drake London does his best work from the slot. So you're looking for a Z on this team, ideally, or an X, which Drake London can do, but he's the best as a big slot right now. So Jennings kind of overlaps the areas where you don't necessarily need for this the offensive infrastructure.
Yeah, I feel that it'd be tough, Jacob. If you're looking in the right direction, you're definitely looking at wide receiver, because the top trade targets from ESPN, it had the Falcons on corners, which I agree with, but I think it's wide receiver as much as anything. It's just, the problem is there's going to be even more competition for those guys from teams that can outbid you because of the draft picks on that one. So thank you for coming in. So I missed you on that one. And then finally, thank you for Dantes for becoming a new member. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Keep your notifications on. I've been putting up the new member videos, been doing a couple of those a week now, and those will increase as news breaks. Want to make sure that you get it, along with a quick hot take from me. So if you want to be a member, look in the description of the video where you're watching. It will be in there. And I say thank you to all of you who are already members. Otherwise, we will see you Monday morning after the game. I'm home, though. You know what? I'm home. So I don't have to travel this weekend for a change. So I might go live immediately after the game. We'll see. So like I said, keep those notifications on, and we will see you sometime this weekend or Monday, sometime after the game. And the Falcons should take care of business. If they don't, we'll go scorched earth, and this little vein in my forehead will pop. They'll take care of it. Nick, any final words before we get out of here?
No final words. I do got to fly. Appreciate you guys bearing with me with the internet stuff. I'll probably, when I do end up moving to the guest room, I'm going to maybe sneak the modem up there as well and have the hard line, so won't be an issue. But for now, we're at the whims of Xfinity and everything. So appreciate everyone. Have a good one, and Falcons are going to win.
We'll take care of it. Nick, get out of here. I'm going to say hello to Tony real quick, who had a question, and I'll talk to you later. Nick is out. Tony, one of our members, want to make sure I get to you before we get out of here. Thank you, Tony, for being a member. He says, "Good morning, fellas. I think all the criticism on Penix is not accurate. He does need to work, but he's facing a lot of unfair scrutiny at 10 games. I think it's 9, actually. 9 games of experience. Give him a chance. No more pit screens." I agree with you on all of this stuff. Is Penix, things are so binary, Tony. It's like, oh, well, Penix doesn't have a bad game. Oh, you're a hater. You know what? It doesn't mean I want him gone. There's room for improvement. Things will improve. Does he think he played his best game? So why can't we say he didn't play his best game? He didn't. It's okay. Doesn't mean I'm out. Again, everything is so polar binary when we have these discussions, that there is room for discussion. And Michael Penix, he struggled mightily with pressure on him last week. It was one of the worst pressured games in a couple of years. 0 for 9, 2 sacks, and an interception, I think is what it was, when facing pressure. That was really poor. Got to get better at that. Zach Robinson has to do a better job of putting him in situations to succeed, and the Falcons have to push the ball down the field. They have to. If some of those incompletions come because they're throwing it 40 yards downfield, so be it. Good things happen when you let it rip. It's almost impossible to cover Drake London down the field. If you throw an accurate ball, he's either going to catch it or he's going to get pass interfered with. Same with Kyle Pitts. And yes, I want to see Kyle Pitts get the ball in motion on slants. I want to see him catching it in stride and dragging guys along. He's a 245-pound grown man, and anybody who can stay anywhere near him in coverage is at least 40 pounds lighter than him and smaller. It's a mismatch. That's why they got him. I don't want to see screens. I want to see him and Drake London blocking for a little scat guy like Darnell Mooney who can make things move out if we're going to throw those screens out wide. I agree with you 100%. I think that's just about it. And Austin says, take advantage of KP size. Yeah, for sure. I don't want him catching the ball with his feet planted. That's not his game. So, Eric, is Raheem on the hot seat if they lose to Miami? Scorching hot. Miami bikini weather hot if they lose to Miami, without a doubt. Atlanta Boy says, if he gets fired, who do you replace him with? I don't know. It'd be temporary. I don't know that you do that in season. You might just say, hey, he wants to take the Oklahoma State job. Go ahead and take it. But is it TJ Yates? Fellow Pope alum. I didn't see Jay in here. My fellow Pope alum, Jay Gribben. Jay. Sorry, Jay. Graduated a year behind me. TJ was probably 10 years behind me at Pope. This was before the ages of YouTube and stuff. When I was doing recruiting, he shoots me an email and says, hey, I heard you went to Pope and still live in that district. Is it okay if I drop my tape off at your house? Sure. So I watched it, and hey, this kid's pretty good. The Pope quarterback just stopped by my house and dropped off his highlight tape. That's how long I've been doing this. So we're out of here. Let's see. That's about it. Let's call it a day. It's going to be a gorgeous day out there. Get outside, enjoy some weather, and then some college football before the Falcons take care of business against Miami. Keep those notifications on. I'm planning on being around. I'm not traveling this weekend. I travel a lot of weekends, either with baseball or baseball. So I'm around. We might go live. We might just do a gut reaction. And then we had a lot of fun doing those the other night. Might do it again, but for sure we'll be here Monday morning. Either way, you're only 32, Scott. No, I'm like 32 years older than those guys. Change that 3 to a 5, and you got my age. I'm actually 52. 53 is right around the frickin' corner. So thanks, Christy. Getting out of here. That's all I got. Appreciate you hanging with me while we go ADD here to finish up the show. Y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll see y'all next time.